This is the story of a guy named Johnny and a stateside restaurant that came from down under.
Hi, I'm John Kuiper. Welcome to Jonny Boston's.
With a name like Jonny Boston, one would think this small spot would be in downtown, Back Bay, or the South End. But it is, in fact, situated in Newmarket, New Hampshire, and it gets its name from the owner's time in Australia.
So I lived in this little town in Australia called Sorrento, and when I would say to people, yeah, I'm from New Hampshire, they would say, where's that? I'd say it's north of Boston. They say, oh, you're from Boston. And I was like, no, I'm not from Boston. I'm from New Hampshire. But for 4 years, I was Jonny Boston.
And the menu is a collection of American dishes with international flair inspired by Johnny's time abroad.
We're just trying to fuse traditional American foods with other culinary experiences and other tastes. So we have an international flair, but we really experiment with any types of food. We really like to experiment with mixing different cultures, ethnic foods together in a new way that's both familiar and at the same time different.
The sandwiches at Jonny Boston's are far from ordinary. There's a Cuban spin on steak and cheese, featuring tender steak, peppers, onions, and cheddar with a zippy ropa sauce. And check out the Peruvian-style pork roll.
And it's got sweet potatoes, pulled pork, pork belly, smoked Gouda, caramelized onions, and chili aioli. It comes on a really nice, fluffy Portuguese roll. It's a really hearty sandwich. It's a little messy, too. You're going to need a fork. I never apologize for making messy sandwiches. I think the messier, the better.
For an Asian spin on a New York deli mainstay, get the Reuben.
I really wanted to do a Reuben, but I did not want to do corned beef. So I thought, maybe we'll get the traditional marble rye, we'll get the Swiss, and we're going to make a traditional Thousand Island dressing. But instead, we're going to put it on pulled pork, and instead of using sauerkraut, we're going to use kimchi. And people love our Reuben. The kimchi that we make it's spicy, but it's not too spicy, and it adds just enough of a different flavor to the Reuben that people say when they bite into it, this is a Reuben, but it's not like a Reuben I've ever had before.
And for a twist on a Vietnamese classic, order the banh mi.
So our banh mi is the ciabatta toasted with roasted chicken, herb mayo, sriracha, pickled vegetables, and cucumber. We toast it on the panini press, and it's got a really different flavor. We're doing this herb mayo that, Vietnam they don't do. We don't use cilantro. We use a different herb blend, because personally I don't like cilantro. Don't tell anybody. But our banh mi is very popular.
Other handhelds include a tremendous selection of burgers.
We definitely are known for our burgers. When we first opened, I didn't want to do any burgers because you can get a burger everywhere in town. I thought, that's not original, that's not cool. But people kept asking for burgers, so I said, all right, we'll do it. So our beef is local, it's super fresh, people love it. And now people tell me all the time, this is the best burger I've had in my entire life. And some of these people are kind of old, so they've probably eaten a lot of burgers.
There's the Royale with cheese, topped with caramelized onions, crispy pork belly, lettuce, and steak sauce. And the James Baxter Melt, a flavor bomb featuring smoked Gouda, pork belly, pickles, jalapenos, and horseradish sauce. But if you ask Johnny, he'll tell you to keep it simple and order the Randy Burger.
I'll tell you, there's some days when I'll just literally wake up in the morning and I'll say to myself, today I have to eat a Randy Burger. Nothing pretentious about it. It's just cheese, pickles, and ketchup. There's not a pile of crazy ingredients. It's just very simple, and it just brings you right back home.
There are some south of the border offerings like barbecue pork nachos topped with corn salsa and plenty of cheese, tasty tacos filled with slow-cooked pork and chicken, and an oversized burrito made one way and one way only.
I really hate going into a burrito place and they've got all this ingredients on the wall and they ask you a million questions. So I said, let's just make a great burrito, no choices. So we automatically put guac, we automatically put pico and corn salsa, sour cream, whatever meat you want, some really crunchy lettuce, along with cheese, beans, rice, and everyone that has our burritos just loves them. And I think it's because they didn't have to build it themselves. We did all the thinking of what goes into it, and that's why it's great.
And what's even greater than the love Johnny puts into his food is the love he gets back from his customers.
I hear 5-10 times in a week, this is the greatest sandwich I've ever had. This is the greatest burger I've ever had. I've had this before and I've been thinking about it for 3 days. People tell me that, and that I think is probably the coolest thing.